What's up, people? Welcome back to another explanation video. This time I'm gonna talk about Wield in general, like things to know. And yeah, like I mentioned before, I want to talk about each different type of weapons. Like more like their setups and knowledge and what you will expect. Things to learn. And yeah, because I do want to talk about each weapon types, etc. For people that to understand just about the other weapons. When I do make build videos, it's a lot clearer, and yeah, that way it'll be easier to read the builds and understand more about the weapons itself. And with that being said, let's do this. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is that in this case I won't talk about the buffs like our codes and some of the other stuff, because their genre will be similar. I already explained it in the buff videos and etc. Because the buffs are varies. You can choose whatever you want to use, and depends on who you're fighting with. So it's not really like a fixed topic to talk about, like what buff you should use. There's many different ways to use buffs, like I already explained it in other videos. So in this case I will be mainly talking about wields and things to know about it, and the customs for the sword skills, why I use this sword skill and why I use that sword skill, like passive and etc. Like I probably won't talk about it because it's just passive. Like it's really not much to talk about passive. So like I say, mainly about the sword skills and the weapon itself and things to know about it in more depth. So yeah. Okay, so the first thing first, the weapon itself. Dual wield. Like there's a lot of good swords in this game, but the main ones you really want to pick up is like the Earthshakers. Not as, I mean, in terms of buff, yes, but in terms of DPS is also really good. Especially in the early game, definitely recommend for Skyrim and Earthshakers, because they're just like very powerful, and it doesn't take like a long time to get, but it does take a long time to get now, I think, because since they added the spears into the raid, which makes a lot difficult to obtain Skyrim and Earthshaker. Earthshaker is from the north and Skyrim is from the south. Just in case, I do want to talk about the locations, just in case of people that are not sure where to grab them, or other than that, yeah. Honestly, like Earthshaker and Skyrim can pretty much do a lot earlier game, but later on in the game, when you're fighting like higher up enemy like extremes and stuff, definitely recommend getting light wolves if it's possible. But light wolves is actually much more difficult to get than Earthshaker and Skyrim, because there's so many weapons in the chest, which makes a decent dual wield if you can pick them up. It is definitely recommended if you want to get something that has accuracy built in and more stats. That's really good for if you want to go for the ancient apostle, like 200 enemies, and they will do like decent amount of like damage and stuff. Light wolf will carry you for a long time until the XT gears comes out, but in fact, like, you can pretty much do a lot of stuff. Even the 400 divine, maybe the plant and the voice spear with dual wield, like light wolves, it works fine. Honestly, as long as you meet the accuracy requirement, then you'll be fine. Now the next thing I want to talk about is Forget-Me-Not. This sword is actually really good for dual wield. I mean, it's not the best sword at the moment, but it is a really good sword. I mean, a lot of time I just use for one-handed, but the thing is you can actually dual wield it as well to pair up with another sword. Although you can only get one sword legitimately in the game right now, but the thing is you can still pair up with another sword if you want to. Like the thing with Forget-Me-Not is that it has really high accuracy, decent strength, actually really good strength. Dex is good, built-in attack is really high, and then the damage, which is the sword skill power, is really high. Those are definitely recommended. This, especially like if you want to finish the DLC and pick it up, I mean you'll get it once you finish the paid DLC number 1. That's like if you don't want to farm for any other swords, that is the sword you want to pick it up. It is definitely, well, it definitely works for a lot, of the like the enemies. You'll be able to use that for bossing, mobbing, whatever. It'll be really good, and you can pair that with another sword, whatever you have. Like all these swords that I'm talking about is like you can do many combinations if you want to. Just use like for example, Light Wolf, Forget-Me-Not, a Light Wolf, whatever, Skyrim with a like Forget-Me-Not. Like whatever you have, you can pretty much dual wield it. It's just it comes down to the accuracy. As long as you meet the accuracy requirement, technically any sword you can dual wield and use it. So yeah, that's the one thing about dual wield, is that as long as you watch the accuracy. But like if you want to like do more damage and technical and stuff, yeah, then you will be looking for specific swords and combos. Other than that, any sword is fine. Just pick them up and use it as a dual wield, like all the swords that I mentioned earlier. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the alloy sword. The alloy sword is actually really good. If you're using 2 of them, they are better than the Light Wolf in terms of DPS. There's no doubt about it. Has a really good accuracy, strength, agility. It's really good for starbursts, especially strength and agility. That's like Earthshaker's. There's no sword in the game that's more powerful than Earthshaker in terms of pure DPS, but the Earthshaker does not have accuracy. That's the only problem. However, like Alloy Sword has accuracy, but it is a little bit less DPS than Earthshaker. You can just think about it as like a mini version of Earthshaker, like a 2.0 version. So, other than that, yeah, this sword can be obtained from level 200 Ancient Apostle, so it's like a random drop. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the Almighty Steel Edge. Now the Almighty Steel Edge is definitely the most, like the strongest sword at the moment in terms of like, depends what you're using for. But honestly, like if you're using alloy sword, one alloy sword and one Almighty Steel Edge, you'll get like pretty much the best DPS. Or you can, if you're using like Starburst pure, like just pure Starburst, then 2 XT alloy sword will be good. Other than that, dual wield, Almighty Steel Edge, both, it's good if you're using Shine, which I will talk about in a bit. So other than that, yeah, those are the good combination. But normally, if I want to do DPS, I go one of each. As for arena, I think 2 Almighty Steel Edge would be better because you have more accuracy. If you're using Bulwark, it's better off just using Almighty Steel Edge because it boosts dex. Because Bulwark does not boost accuracy, it boosts the stats. So Alloy Sword does not have dex, and Bulwark does not boost like pure accuracy. So that's another thing about using Almighty Steel Edge, that you'll have much more higher accuracy. So in terms of all these swords that I just talked about, whichever you can get, they're all very good. So like if you're early in the game, get with like farm for like Skyrim Earthshaker will definitely get you through like extreme, no problem. Then maybe get Lightwolf, that will get you through like, you know, 200, level 200 of Ancient Apostle. Then you get Almighty Steel Edge, that's like 300 plus. But you're probably gonna get Alloy Sword before you reach 300 plus. Then you'll be able to get the Almighty after 300. That's what some people say, you're able to get them after 300. I don't know if you can get it from 200, because it's kind of hard to tell what sword drops, what sword not, because there's too many items drops with XTs. Now the next thing is just Forget Me Not. If you have the DLC, then complete the DLC. You'll get that sword, and it's very good. For people that don't have the DLC, that's why I don't want to mention, you know, Forget Me Not too much, because that is not really in, you know, outside of the base. Like if it's not in the base game, it's the paid DLC. So if you have paid DLC, then definitely recommend to pick up that sword as early as possible. If you don't, then that's like the route that I just mentioned, that's where you have to go for it. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the sword skills. There's like 8 sword skills, and which one like I usually use or prefer to use is the one that I usually have on, and you'll see majority of people would use the same thing besides Infernal Ray or the Nightmare Rain. Like the other are okay, but like in terms of you can use them for fun or anything. Moment Buy used to work. It's so cheesy because you would like able to hazard the enemy. I mean, whenever the enemy's like doing like an attack, then you use Moment Bite. Back in the day, you would hazard the enemy. They patched that, so you won't be able to use that cheese. Other than that, Moment Bite, it kind of worked, but it's not really like as OP as it used to be. Now, like I say, Nightmare Ring and Infernal Ray, those are the two that I usually substitute, depends what I'm fighting. So the other skills, not as much. Like I don't really use them, but I use them like when I first time like playing the game. Yeah, I use them, but other than after that, it's just not so much. Starburst, without being said, is definitely one of the best. Well, they're EX skills, so it's really one of the best EX skill for the dual wield. In terms of DPS, that's no doubt about it. And as for the other DPS, I usually prefer double circular. I'm not talking about shine yet. I'm talking about double circular. Just the level 1 version. Like this pair up with Starburst, you will be doing quite a bit of damage, and it's fast. That's what most people would use, is a double circular, then Starburst, that combo after whatever skill connect you want to do. But as for, you know, the useful part about Final Revolution and potentially Nightmare Ring, because Infernal Ray doesn't have like, it's not as good as Nightmare Ring in terms of hazard. But if you're using Nightmare Ring and Final Revolution, you can do the triple combo to down the enemy. So Final Revolution, and then you get them hazard. When the hazard pops up, hit the double circular to break, and then Final Revolution to fatal, and then Nightmare Ring to down the enemy. The reason why I'm using Infernal Ring instead of Nightmare Ring is that the Divine Beast is too glitchy. Like, Nightmare Ring will glitch, like it will clip through them if you're using Nightmare Ring. A lot of time, even if you have to require accuracy, you're still gonna miss. So it's too buggy to use Nightmare Ring on the Divine Beast besides the plant. That's why I'm not using Nightmare Ring, otherwise I would use Nightmare Ring. But the thing is, it's also good to have you know, Infernal Ray for that extra DPS. Now as for customs, as for Starburst, you mostly want strength and agility, no doubt about it. So good accessories like, not accessory, armor, like steel armor is really good. If you want to use like what's it called, the Forgotten Clothes and Abyssal Clothes, the XT version, and the other one that has strength and dex, or strength and or dex and agility, they work. I use them for the arena, but most of the time, if you can use strength and agility for the Starburst custom, it'd be really good, because that's what it is. Starburst is strength and agility, so you'll be looking for items that has, you know, like the strength, mainly strength and agility. You know, the strength and agility, there are not many ones, I think. I mean, like the Abyssal Gauntlet, the XT version. Let me see. You can use Abyssal Ring as well. Technically, you can use anything like Abyssal Ring, Ring of Tranquility, necklace, even that works. So really, it's really like you can use anything you want in the custom. So there's not really like a, that's why I don't want to talk about like custom too much. Honestly, you can put anything into custom as long as you have the accuracy. Because like, you know, when I do make a build videos, or when I do go for bossing and stuff, I use per specific version for, you know, DPS. But outside of that, you can use, even if it's strength and agility, you can like use like a strength and a dex, or using a dex and agility, and you still will be able to do damage, but you won't be able to do as much damage as if you custom mostly like strength or agility. Other than that, you know, dual wield for the EX skill is really powerful if you can custom like a lot of strength or a lot of agility, or both. Like there's not many, let's just say there's not many like wrong ways to build a like adjustment, because you can focus on one stats and not focus on the other, and you'll still be fine. Even though you're not hitting as much, you can still kill an enemy with that, you know, less stats. But for higher enemy, definitely you want to get more DPS as possible, because it takes too much time. That's one thing. The other thing is just, it's not really, you know, it's not really good if you're fighting tougher enemy with not like the right equipment and stuff. They'll be really tanky. So the other two I'm gonna talk about is like the Final Revolution and Infernal Ray, or Nightmare Ring. They're basically hazard. I put it the down DPS because I don't really need a hazard if I'm doing one down kill, so I might as well just put DPS on for more. But the other thing I forgot to mention is the down incarnation. It's always in the for the DPS skill, because there's really no substitution for that. As for the other two skill that's non-DPS are usually the hazard. I mentioned that so many times back in my days. Gonna grab incarnation. Just make sure you have the Violet Flash incarnation for the hazard cage. This incarnation is more important than the Unfreezing Spirit, because Unfreezing Spirit will not give you as fast hazard. If you don't use Unfreezing Spirit, you can still hazard the enemy quite fast if you have the incarnation. But if you don't use the incarnation, the Unfreezing Spirit probably not gonna do much in general. So it is better to have the incarnation than not have the incarnation. So other than that, it's just for, like, depends how much you want to go with the skill connect. The other thing is just the incarnation plus the SSC, which is the Sword Skill Connect. The Sword Skill Connect are basically the passive itself. You need 4 of them to get 4/4. You can do 5, 6, 7. No, I don't know about 7, but I think you can do 5. Yeah, I think at least 5. I don't remember. It's been a while since I do a lot of Skill Connect, but at least 4 and 5. You need 4 of these. The reason why I'm showing most of the time in the builds are 4 of them. Like, you need to add them up to 4 to be able to hit 4 usually. But other than that, is just the other substitute is the boot. The boots from the snail, which I made a guy a long time ago. That's the old version. But if you want to do the new version, I mean the old version of a hazard, you would use the armor. Let me see, where is it? You would use the White Mist armor and the incarnation with the passive. That's why when I talk about builds, like when I show these stuff, they're important. You know, I know I see some people that are messaging, like show me pictures and stuff, that they don't have the incarnation in the armor. You have to have the incarnation in the armor. Like it is like the most important part, like for your build to work, is to have that incarnation. If you want to hazard enemy fast, you need the hazard incarnation. If you want the enemy even faster, you need a passive. So that's why I show the armor and the incarnation. Like the incarnation is very important, just as important as the armor. So that's why Final Revolution will be good for hazarding and Nightmare Rain, because sometimes enemy will get instant hazard if you use one of them or both of them. It's really fast. Final Revolution is the same. Like I say, two same setup for the hazard and 4/4, you know, or 3/3, whichever, or 2/2 if you want to. You don't have to use 4/4 if you don't want to. Now comes to the second DPS as the double circular. Double circular is a bit tricky, especially with the dex and agility, but most of the time you would focus whichever number is higher, but sometimes it also depends on which number you have the most. You know, for example, in this case I would have, imagine like this case, like if I'm buffed, I will have like over 1,000 dex for some weapons, but my agility is quite low. And don't worry about it, because your dex will be high enough that will cover cover the missing agility. But it's good to have more agility in general because it's higher. The thing is about custom is that it varies, depends on what you have the most, not necessarily the other. So it's a little bit complex. But the thing is, when it comes to customization for the sword skills, you just have to watch out, like, do you have enough accuracy to hit the enemy? Like, then you worry about DPS. I mean, if you can't hit, then it doesn't really matter how much DPS you have. In terms of the finish art, it's fun, but it's not really viable. This is too much. It's too much stuff they need to fix or even buff the finish art to make it even viable. I remember the old day where you can just finish art anything, like just insta killing. That's the old day at the level 50, like, before Extreme first came out. Yeah, I mean, you can still use it if you're not going for Extreme, but the thing is, I still recommend not really using finish art as much if you don't need to. Focus on using super art, So super art is much better in terms of DPS. There's no doubt about it. As or other detailed things like 3 stars get more DPS, proficiencies max that out, you'll get accuracy and stats boost. So it is very important to get that stuff done if you want to hit more in general. Other than that, yeah, dual wield is very powerful. Like, it's still the most powerful weapon in this game. But like I'm telling you, like, do not underestimate the other like weapons, the other 9 weapons. They are actually some of the EX. When I do make a video talk about each different weapons, you'll know, because there are a lot of the EX skills here for different weapons. That's actually more powerful than dual wield, because dual wield is such a meta. Most people would just go for dual wield. They overlooked the other weapons. Like, you know, the other weapons are just as strong, if not stronger than dual wield in terms of like damage and stuff. Like, you know, I will talk about, you know, like I say, the other weapons. Then that way it will like give you much more ideas about all 10 weapons, you know, in this game. Because, you know, that's the whole point of, you know, talking about the depths of the games and stuff. You know, understand different weapons. You know, if you like, some people like to use different weapons then dual wield. There's plenty of that as well. But the main thing is dual wield is OP. That's really not much to argue. However, dual wield is not really the most OP weapon in this game in terms of like the EX and stuff. What makes dual wield like beyond anything in this game is the shine circular. That's what I'm gonna talk about next. Like, you know, it's kind of like a cheat engine. Like when you're using shine, it's like it's satisfying. Shine circular, oh my god, this is probably the most, that's what separates dual wield from all the other weapons. Like I mean all of them. Like there's really nothing comes to close or even matching shine circular spam. Like you really don't have any like weapons that can pass that anytime sooner, or if any at all, if you can master the shine circular. The reason why I'm not, like, I did make a video about how to do shine back in the day, but the thing is with the shine circular, it's different. It's different when you hit an enemy versus not hitting an enemy. Like not hitting an enemy, you just need to watch the white light flash, and that's, the white light is actually between the blue light where you do the skill connect I talked about while ago. However, when you're hitting the enemy, you won't be able to see it. That's what makes it difficult to do shine when you use it against an enemy, because at that point you really have to like practice and learn the timing rather than people explain it, because you can explain it. The timing, it's really everything. It's all about how much, you know, you practice and how you learn. Because I don't even know how to explain it, like when hitting enemies. Because like I said, there's some stuff in this game, there's really no explanation for it. It's really, it comes down to, yeah, you know, use it a lot and understand the timing, etc. So besides learning that, yeah, this thing kills everything. Like, it hits the most, it kills the fastest. It's just ridiculous. Right now, besides the, like, right now if you want to farm the Forgotten King, yeah, besides Spear, not much. Like, Shine is really like the go-to if you want to farm enemy. Even the tap here, it's still very difficult to hit Shine. Like, it is ridiculous. It's not just one Shine, you need to hit consecutive. You need to hit like, you know, for most of the time when I count it in my videos, they're usually about 15 to 18 perfect shine like for a run to really kill a level 400 king and the level 400 divine, I mean the castle. So yeah, it is a lot of shine, not just a few. I mean you might be able to get a few less, depends on your chain. So it's really hard, like it's really hard to know like how many you need. It's just it's really RNG when it comes to chain and stuff. But like I said, that's the shine is what separates like anything else. Like there is no weapons in this game right now or any of the EX skills will come close to this thing. Like yeah, once you master that, you're pretty much good to go for a majority of the boss fight, unless there's something else more OP than Shine Circular, which I don't see it. Well, at least not right now. There's not gonna be another skill that's more powerful than Shine anytime sooner, or a meta build that can pretty much wreck anything anytime sooner. So, like I say, Shine Circular, it is the top of the top, you know, like mastery when it comes to sword skill. I mean, Infernal Ray is another thing, but Infernal Ray doesn't hit as much as Shine Circular. You can do level 3 Infernal Ray, but the thing is, it hits less than Shine, so there's no point. If the hits were same amount for Infernal, then yeah, actually Infernal might be a good idea to do level 3. Other than that, not so much. But, you know, for the time being, Shine Circular is the king of, like, in terms of DPS, in terms of killing, like, in terms of, like, speed, in terms of anything. That is literally just one skill. That's all you need to destroy, like, anything in this game. So, that's why if you want to learn Shine, you have to practice. Other than that, there is not much to say, because it's simply no, you know, explanation for it besides practice. Yes, there is an explanation if you want to hit non-enemy, but if you want to hit enemies, there's none. Also, if you're using Shine online, the timing is different. Oh boy. Yeah, that's another thing you need to worry about. They're not the same time to use Shine Circular online. Be aware of that as well. Alright people, I hope you guys get an idea about about like dual wields and stuff. There is a lot to talk about for dual wield, because, and on the other hand, there's not many to talk about because it's quite OP and it shows up everywhere. And there's always, you know, people using it, and it's very easy to customize, to find a sword, to do etc. And yeah, other than that, you know, like I say, I'm gonna start off with dual wield since it is it is pretty normal at this point. So let's get the strongest weapon in this game. You know, first thing comes first. So yeah, up next, I don't know what weapon I want to talk about in depth, but you know, like for now, I'm just trying to wrap up the dual wield and make, you know, hopefully you guys like get like more ideas. I mean, for most people that does understand the game a lot, like the builds and stuff, like this is more to people that, you know, still learning about the game and that trying to understand more about the game. You know, if you already know, like, if you already know, you know, these kind of stuff, there's no point or really need to watch it, because I mainly make these videos are for people that, you know, still learning the game and trying to understand them in depth, and hopefully that will help them, you know, get some good ideas and help them start off the game and what they expecting, and, you know, in the end game, later in the game, not even end game, the game's not even end yet, but like later in the game, that's what you will be expecting if you want to use this certain type of weapon, and what you can do to really optimize your weapon and make it, you know, more enjoyable and more powerful. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy it. Next time I'll come back for a different weapon explanation. Yeah. Until next time.